going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? So, in the beginning of the 2021 offseason, I made a video in a tier list format, my trade predictions for the offseason. I had a pool of players that have been kind of rumored in some deals, and I gave them into I put them into a tier list on who I think is most likely to get traded and least likely to get traded. So I'm going to be reacting to this to see if I was right about any of these. And there was definitely some players that were traded that I didn't even have in the pool. So maybe I'll go over those if I see any of those names, or if any pop in my mind, I would say like, oh, didn't know he was going to get traded. Like technically sign in trades. I don't have DeRozan in there. I don't have Larry Markin in there. I don't have Derrick Jones Jr. looks like, but I didn't really want to put like a ton of players, and I put kind of a pool of guys, and it was still a 17-minute long video, and I don't even have like Montrezl Harrell, who is a technical sign and trade or opt-in and trade, something like that. So yeah, we're going to react to this today. It's going to be funny if I'm right, if I'm wrong. Let's get into this. Trade season is about to get started. Pause. All right, after the 2-minute intro, let's get into this. You can match any deal out there, so I don't think he will end up getting traded. Talking about but I think there's a slight chance that they do go for Russell. Okay, right about THT. He wasn't in a Russell Westbrook trade. Westbrook, he'll be a key piece in that, and I think that the Wizards would not mind getting THT in return for Russell Westbrook. Didn't happen. I think that the Wizards should definitely do that because I think if you can get THT and Kuzma, that's good enough to get off Russell Westbrook's contract and just like he's still a great player. It's just he's not really going to make you any bit different than you were this year as the 8th seed. So I think he'll probably won't get traded. It really just matters in a Russell Westbrook trade. Next up, we have Kyle Kuzma. I think he's likely to get traded. I think the Lakers, they've been involved in Buddy Hield, Russell Westbrook, signing trades for DeMar DeRozan. I mean, Pop will never let that happen. But I think there is a good chance that Kyle Kuzma will not be on a Lakers roster next year. I think he is likely to get traded. KCP, I'm going to say might get traded, might not. That's where I'm going to rank these Lakers. I think like Kuzma has the highest chance, KCP in the middle, and then THC, he's a wild card because he's a free agent, so he really just depends if he's going to be in a sign-in trade or not. So that's why I put him and probably won't get traded. I think it's pretty likely that Dario Saric gets traded. And I still think that could happen if it's like a Thaddeus Young deal because he's making around $10 million, I think, and he's not going to be playing at all next year due to the ACL injury he suffered in the playoffs. So I still think he's going to get traded. He's not going to play at all next year pretty much because he tore his ACL in the playoffs. And the reason I think he can get traded is because they can afford or try to avoid being under the luxury tax, the hard cap. So they're going to have to re-sign Chris Paul. They're going to have to give the rookie extension to DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges. That's going to be a ton of money. They're going to want to re-sign Cameron Payne, probably on that like 4-year, $40 million minimum exception. What do you get? 3-year, $18 million? They got him back for a steal type deal. So I think they want to they're already paying Devin Booker a lot of money. They're going to want to avoid that luxury tax, so they're going to try to shed off the $8-10 million that Sarge is getting paid. And yeah, I see that Bledsoe and Steven Adams are in there, so that was before that trade. I think there's a good chance from them going from the Pelicans to the Grizzlies, and then Bledsoe got traded again to the Clippers. Lucky him. Like they might send out Sarge in 2 seconds to a team that has $10 million cap and be like, all right, we'll give you 2 seconds. You give us $50K in cash, or you give us like a second and you get a second for free by just taking on that $10 million. Something like that, I think that is a chance that could possibly happen. Or maybe they package him with Jalen Smith that they gave up on him already. I don't know, but I'm going to throw him in there. Next up, we have could happen for Thad Young. Marvin Bagley. Oof. I mean, so much have come out of his camp, his brother, his dad. They don't want him to be there in Sacramento. He's in the final year of his rookie contract, and he hasn't proven to Sacramento that he'll be getting that next contract. I think he'll get traded. Wow. I think I'm going to put a definite. He has not been traded yet. Could he be in a Simmons, a Siakam deal? Yes. But at this moment, I was wrong. That Marvin Bagley will get surprised because I thought he was. That's tough because I think Buddy Hield will also. I think Buddy Hield's likely to get traded. I think he was traded at one point. Woj reported that he was going to the Lakers, but if he's in a Siakam or Simmons deal, possibly still a chance. So I'm not entirely wrong on that because Beal, if I said he was getting traded, it's like a 99% chance, or Lillard, they're not getting traded this offseason, it looks like. So, but I still think, if there's a Siakam trade on the table or Ben Simmons, one of these two can get traded still. Sacramento's going to make some moves involving 9, Bagley. You know what? I'm going to put Bagley in likely because I guess there's a small chance they run it back with him. They're still going to have Luke Walton at the head coach, so it's not like they're going to be getting a different head coach there to make him happy. Maybe I'll move him up there and we'll get traded at the end. I think Buddy Hield and Bagley, there's a good chance they get traded. Then Harrison Barnes, I'm going to have him and probably won't get traded. I think they're going to run it back. And it's tough because Barnes, He's a good player, but maybe some teams don't want his contract, so I'm going to put him in the probably won't end up getting traded. Because I can't really put like 3 Kings up there because then they're really blowing up the roster, and I don't know if they're going to be doing that, right? So Zach Levine, I'm going to think he doesn't get traded. The only reason he's been in the rumors is because he's an expired free agent. He's going to ask for that $33 million max extension, and are the Bulls like going to give it to him? Probably after this year's season, All-Star, great player for them. I think he will be in rumors. And since he's an expiring deal,
I apologize about that. My green screen is so annoying. I like it just like randomly will go off like that.
Like they don't want him to get to free agency, just leave to a team that's in a better scenario. Like the Bulls were all right in the second half after getting Vucevic, but then the COVID, like they had some COVID problems, and that really kind of stumped their any chance of being in the play-in tournament. So maybe Zach Levine's like, all right, we'll give it a year. If the Bulls can maybe make it to the play-in tournament or maybe get into the playoffs, he'll resign there. But then if they don't, maybe he walks for nothing. So I don't think he'll get traded, though. Kobe White. This is somebody that could be in a sign and trade for like Lonzo Ball, Kyle Lowry.
Close. Wasn't in a trade, but there was maybe rumors about that.
Or just could be traded. And I think he probably won't get traded, but I wouldn't put him in the definitely won't get traded. I think there's a chance Kobe White could end up getting traded. Jared Allen, he will be a restricted free agent, but this is if the Cavs draft Evan Mobley at 3, and then are like, okay, the Mobley Allen fit doesn't work. Let's call up New York, or let's call up OKC, or let's call up a team that could use a center, try to get a first-round pick for Jared Allen in the sign and trade. You know what I mean? So I'm going to say Jared Allen might not get traded. It really just depends on what the Cavs do at 3, because it's looking like Jalen Green's going to go at 2. So does that mean the Cavs take Suggs at 3, or do they still go Mobley, try to make Mobley and Allen fit, or do they just let Allen walk? So you know what? Actually,
which is the route they took.
But probably won't, because he's kind of like THT, that there's a chance he either walks or gets re-signed, and say those are a third chance, right? So that's a 66% chance he can end up signing with the new team or re-signing, so he's not getting traded, and then a 33% chance that he ends up getting a sign and trade. So I'm going to say probably won't get traded. Sexton, I think he's likely to get traded. I mean, if they go Mobley at 3 and they look to move out and keep Sexton, then there's a chance. Actually, I don't know, because I don't think teams are going to really want to give the Cavs what they want for Sexton, because he's an expiring free agent. He hasn't been proven to be like a ceiling raiser for the Cavs. I mean, they've been a bottom team in the league every year he's been there. And I mean, their roster hasn't been great, but is he somebody that can elevate your team to the playoffs alone and worth that rookie extension? Because like Bagley, he's going to be free agent at the end of the year. So I think he might get traded. He might not. Kevin Love, same thing. I think the Cavs want to trade him, and they'll literally trade him for anything, literally pennies, like a penny on the dollar. It's just who goes out and gets Kevin Love. I think the most likely scenario is the Miami Heat, like bringing back like Ariza and Iguodala, and then trading them literally to Cleveland, maybe involving a second-round pick or KZ Okpala or Kendrick Nunn and like a sign and trade as well. And I don't think like maybe Hero can get it done. Maybe like they don't mind giving up Hero for Sexton, and then they take on Love. They think that he can be a good fit in between Butler and Bam. And the Cavs are like, all right, we will not like if you get a Hero, that's actually a pretty solid package. But if
they didn't do this at all,
if you get like if you're taking away Kevin Love, we'll give away Colin Sexton at this kind of price. And I feel like the Cavs or the Heat could be a team like that because they really can't go out and sign like a Kawhi Leonard due to them paying Bam and Jimmy Butler all that money.
Well, they did with Kyle Lowry in the sign and trade.
So I feel like it's more likely that they try to improve their team through the trade market, and that could be a scenario because like I think there's a chance that maybe they'll be a package deal. Larry Nance Jr., another Cav. I think there's a chance he could get traded, but I'm going to put him in probably won't because he was solid for them.
Well, there's the first guy that actually got traded, and do I move
him? He's under contract, but maybe a team likes that. They can get a first-round pick. It's really just if the Cavs are trying to not blow up their roster, but really make some changes there.
He went for a first-round pick. Technically, Portland sending that to Chicago. So the only players there's 3 players on this list that have been traded, and it's Kuzma, kind of got that. KCP through in the middle, and then Nance missed on that one.
Kobe Altman can do. Next up, we have Jeremy Grant. I don't think he gets traded this offseason, but I think there's a high chance he gets traded next offseason when he'll be an expiring free agent. Because Grant, he's 26, 27. He'll be like 28 at the end of his contract, going on 29. And the Pistons are going to be bad for this year. They'll be bad next year, and maybe the following year. So they're going to be a rebuilding team. Brown Hayes, Stewart, Bay, their first-round pick next year. I think they're going to want to get maybe additional first. Like if you get, Cade. Like I came up with this on Twitter. I was like, if the Kings offer you 9, a first-round pick, and or 9 in Bagley for Grant, maybe you think about that. I don't know, or maybe a first, or 9 in Bagley for Grant. Maybe you think about that, or 9 in additional first in Grant. That's like top or lottery protected in Grant. Maybe you think about that. I'm sorry for saying that so many times. Or the Pelicans, and they offer Kyron Lewis 10 and a future Lakers pick or a future Bucks pick. I don't know. You might have to pick up the phone. I don't think he ends up getting traded. Same with Christian Wood. I think it was more likely he gets traded if they ended up with Evan Mobley. But Jalen Green, I think they probably want to run like Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood, Jason Tate, their young core, and their 2 later first-round picks. But I think like Jeremy Grant, he was signed to a 3-year deal. The Rockets aren't going to be probably good next year. I mean, there's a chance they overperform, but I don't know. I think there's a chance like the Warriors would want Christian Wood or the Knicks would want Christian Wood and they'll call him up. But I don't know if they'll get a package that they like, and I think he won't get traded. Now we're into the Pacers players. So we got Malcolm Brogdon.
None of them got traded. I should have known
who's
this.
most likely to get traded out of these 4? I think Miles Turner is probably the most likely to get traded. I think Brogdon might get traded.
Yet, could be a Ben Simmons trade, could be a Pascal Siakam. I don't know, but it's most likely they're not going to get traded at this point.
Might not. Turner, because he's still on a favorable contract. Teams could want a rim protector, and his value might be the lowest out of all 4 of these players. TJ Warren, he's on an expiring contract. I feel like he could be in there, might not get traded. I'm going to probably put him in probably won't, and I'm going to put Sabonis and won't get traded. I think maybe a team goes out there and tries to get Sabonis, but I feel like the Pacers, they're not a team that really makes big trades. Obviously, there was the Paul George trade, but I don't think they're going to go out there and really fire sale and completely blow up this team. But I think there's a chance that might Miles Turner get traded because he's going to be a coveted asset to like Sacramento, Charlotte, New York, bunch of other teams, right? New Orleans.
And nobody trades for him. I don't know if it's Indiana's asking price is too high or he's just not as valuable that teams want to trade for him. But if it's not, he's that valuable to Indiana, trade for him. I don't know.
Brogdon, like they tried trading him for Simmons. Maybe the Sixers are like, all right, that's the best player we'll get. They'll do that. I think Warren, he's an expiring. Maybe they'll package Warren and Brogdon for Simmons. I don't know. I think that there's a chance that.
But I think now maybe they want to run this team back with Levert and Dorte, etc.
Like there's a chance Warren can get traded. Probably not. And I don't really think that Sabonis wound up getting traded. KP. I want to put him in probably not, but I don't think he ends up getting moved. I think that they're going to value KP still, but they're really going to look at that DeRozan, that Kawhi, that Kyle Lowry market to adding another third.
They added no one.
Guy really with Luka Doncic.
They added Reggie Bullock
and
Moses Brown
playoff
and
series
Sterling Brown
next year. John Wall, I think really the only 2 destinations he could end up being traded to are the Lakers, or I guess 3. Lakers, Clippers, and Heat. I feel like the Clippers would be gutting their roster a lot for a point guard that really doesn't make them that much better. The Lakers could be interested in this, and that's where like KCP, Kuzma, and THT come in, or the Heat. So I'm going to say he probably won't get traded, though, because the contract is just so massive. And it's not like he's Chris Paul elite anymore. So I think there's a chance that I'm sure they're going to want to trade him like the Cavs with Kevin Love. But just the money might not work out. Eric Gordon, I think he will get traded. He's the first guy in there I think will definitely not be on this Rockets team next year. And he will be getting traded to like a team like...
I mean, sure, he can still get traded, but it's not very likely.
The Lakers, Memphis. I know there's been talks in Indiana. I think there's a good chance that Eric Gordon will get
There was a lot of rumors about it, though.
Josh Richardson, he'd be an opt-in trade, which I think is actually pretty likely. That he opts in. But I think Dallas would want an opt-in in the sign-in trade. So I think he might get traded. He might not. I won't put him in the probably yet. Steven Adams, I don't think he gets traded. I think the Pelicans really want him, and they're regretting that contract extension.
And they were able to trade him. It was wrong.
It's just that money. And I don't think
I thought it wasn't going to be possible.
At least for...
I did not see Memphis doing that trade to move up 7 spots to take Zaire Williams, taking on the Adams and Bledsoe contracts.
Kevin Love could shoot. I'll take that over his contract. At least Miles Turner, he's more versatile. He can shoot as well, and he's a better rim protector. So I don't think he gets traded. I think Bledsoe's likely to get traded. Actually, I think Bledsoe will get traded.
Hey,
I think the team will take him
put him up
It's
there.
not that bad of a contract that people think. It's really one more guaranteed year. He can be a backup point guard for you and still be an all right backup point guard. And then it's like a non-guaranteed or it's a partially guaranteed contract for 2023, and it's like $4 million you'd have to pay. So I think there's a chance like they would package maybe 10 in Bledsoe for like, I'm just saying hypothetically, Eric Gordon, right? So like that's not gonna happen, but like hypothetically, they package Bledsoe and 10 for a player that can help them still try to win next year. Next up we have Ben Simmons.
About that Bledsoe and 10 for Gordon deal. I don't know if I meant to elaborate more on that, but that would have been a stupid trade for the Pelicans.
I think he will get traded.
Still can happen. I mean, Ben Simmons just came out not too long ago saying he's not going to training camp, so could still happen.
See him on Philly next year. I think it's done. That bridge is burned.
I mean, it will still
happen. He'll be a Timberwolf. He'll be a Raptor. He'll be a Warrior. I don't know, but I don't think he'll be a Sixer next year. Lonzo Ball. See, with like Stan Van Gundy, didn't think he was coming back, but with that kind of a new head coach, maybe he likes him. So Lonzo Ball kind of falls in that Jared Allen THT thing that probably won't get traded. Wow. It really comes down to, okay, he might re-sign with New Orleans. They might match any deal. He might just sign with another team in New Orleans, doesn't match. Or sign and trade gets worked out and like Chicago or New York wants to do a sign and trade for him, right? So I think The odds aren't in favor of a sign and trade, but it could definitely happen. That's why he won't go and won't get traded. Next up, we have Tyler Hero. I think he probably won't get... no, he might not. Yeah, he's like their most coveted asset that they would move because they're not moving Bam or Jimmy. So it really comes down to, or maybe Duncan Robinson technically is, but it comes down to, are they going after Sexton? Are they going after, I don't know, a Ben Simmons? Are they going after a Bradley Beal? Are they trying to, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, they're just trying to go after a guy, and he's really their most coveted asset. His value probably isn't as high as it once was after last year's bubble. Next up, we do have DeJounte Murray. I don't think he ends up getting traded. He's still the best young player on the Spurs, and I think it would be silly if they do that. I think Derek White, though, has a bigger chance because he's a little bit older, and they still have, like, Lonnie Walker, Vassell, Keldon Johnson. They have a ton of wings there. I think they would not mind going after trading Derek White. And I've said Denver should really go after Derek White. Gordon Hayward, I don't think he ends up getting traded, but I know he's been in some rumors. Terry Rozier might get traded, might not. He's really good last year. He's in the last year.
Complete opposite.
His deal. A team like Dallas could really want a Terry Rozier. A team like maybe the Sixers for Ben Simmons, they would really want a Terry Rozier. Terrence Ross, I think he could get traded. Team might want his wing scoring. He's under contract for a couple years. He doesn't really fit the Magic timeline at all. But the Magic might want some vets, so he's going to go and might get traded, might not. Kevin Knox, I just threw him in here because he's been rumored in Sexton deals, signed a trade for Lonzo's. I'll say, honestly, he's likely to get traded, though. Even if it's for like the lowest second-round pick ever, I think it could happen. Bradley Beal and Russ. So Bradley Beal is apparently making his decision this weekend. I think it happens.
What?
I think we're going to see Bradley Beal trade this offseason. And Russ is might not, because there's very few teams that would go out and want to get Russ. I think it really comes down to Miami. Oh, no, never mind for that shooting. I think it comes down to...
Why didn't I say that when I thought they could trade for Ben Simmons?
It comes down to the Clippers or the Lakers. So that's why he's in might get traded, might not, because there's really only two teams that I think would go out and trade for Russell Westbrook. D'Lo, I think he probably won't. It really comes down to the only trade D'Lo I would see him being involved in is the Ben Simmons deal, but that's if Philly even likes him, so that's why I'm putting him in probably not. Next up, we have Damian Lillard. I think it's probably not. I think there's still a chance he gets traded, but I don't think it's very likely at this point. Nurkic, he might get traded, he might not. I think McCollum gets traded, though. I think he's the most likely one, because they got to switch up their team somehow.
Well, they
really can't go out and trade. Like, say they go out and get Josh Richardson for like a Derrick Jones Jr., right? And they change their head coach from Terry Stotts to Chauncey Billups. That's not enough to make them better.
I made this video before the Kemba trade. Wow, I thought I made this semi-recently.
It would have to go out and, I think, move McCollum or Nurkic. So I know the Jazz have been wanting to move either Bojan, Ingles, or Favors, or all three. I think Favors probably is the most likely to get the contract. Actually, no, Ingles, because three-point shooting, defensive passing. I think Favors might or might not. I don't think Bojan gets traded, because I don't know if teams are really in favor. He's got 2 years left on that deal. 2 years left on that deal. I think he signed a 4-year deal, so it really depends if teams are interested in that. I don't think he ends up getting traded. Kemba Will or not? Does he do like the Thunder 1 year thing like Chris Paul?
This was after the trade with the Celtics. Okay, that makes more sense. And he didn't end up getting traded.
Really
bought out.
Comes down to like the Lakers or Clippers or Mavericks wanting to go out and get Kemba, or the Sixers. Pascal Siakam, he might get traded, he might not. I know the Raptors have made him available in trades. Maybe the Sixers would want him for Simmons. Maybe the Warriors would want him for 7 and 14 and Wiggins. That's what it really comes down to. And speaking of Wiggins and Wiseman, this is if they get involved in a big trade. Like, obviously, if they wanted to go out and get Bradley Beal for 7 and 14 Wiseman, they'd have to include Wiggins to make the money work. So I think Wiggins might or might not get traded. And I don't think that Wiseman ends up getting traded. So that's really everybody here that was in the pool that I kind of went through. There might be somebody that
I was really right about Bledsoe, and that's it in the time. And probably Ben Simmons. Likely to get traded. I think Saric still has a chance. Kuzma, I was right. Nobody else. I mean, like, there's a chance Hield and Bagley, but I don't know. Russ got traded. Let's see. Anybody else in this? Josh Richardson got traded. KCP got traded. Favors got traded. Not too bad about those. Lonzo ended up getting traded, so I was kind of wrong about him. Nance got traded, was wrong about him. And that is it from this tier. And then in the not getting traded, Steven Adams was wrong about him. So let me know if you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.